Hey Reflections! Today I wanted to talk about a few truths that I've come to, and again, I'm not really speaking, well, maybe I am speaking for the collective. There are a lot of different viewpoints on what we should be doing, what we shouldn't be doing. What I am going to suggest is for you to do what's good for you. But for me, I always knew that there was something wrong. And I feel like I've known since I was a child. And I've come to such great truths, like every single thing is my own doing. Every single event, especially negative events, are here to teach me a lesson. And the things that I consider bad, well, cosmically, they're just a speck of the whole entire picture and really doesn't matter. You know, if this is all an illusion, oh man. And I was looking back at that video that I made about the human rights activist that was dying, and even as I was making that video, I was realizing that all is an illusion. Even though I was looking back and reflecting on my life, I was realizing that both my mother and father were just a reflection of myself. And I've had a lot of negativity the first 25 years of my life. And it wasn't until I took a step back and went into seclusion, basically, that I was finally able to think. And you know, I was that person that wanted to be around people because I was just so afraid to be alone, and I was just so lonely. And I've been living this way for the past 3 years already, you know, and I feel complete. And I have a job, thankfully, that I don't really have to see a lot of people that much. So I'm in constant reflection, you know? I'm in constant reflection. And if I'm not in constant reflection, I'm in constant no thought. So in realizing my greatness today, I realized how far I've come. And if we are truly the creators or the masters of this design, of this illusion, then we should have control over what permeates our reality. And the people that I was hanging out with before were very toxic. They were the type of people that were very materialistic. And I live in Manhattan, and that's another reason why I don't really make a lot of friends, is because a lot of people in my neighborhood, in my area, are very materialistic. And the first thing they see is what you wear, how you look. And I don't want to be friends with people that care about what I wear, how I look, how much money I make. it's unnecessary, really. And those people are fake. And the more my consciousness expanded, the less people I could tolerate, because ignorance began to annoy me. The more I awaken, the more I realize I have to learn, the more compassion I have. And the way I deal with unawakened people is, honestly, I kind of ignore them. Like, unless it's, out of compassion, when I volunteer, when I work with the homeless people on the streets, when I do stuff like that. It's all coming out of a place of compassion. But in my everyday life, if I don't have to deal with it, I'm probably not. And somebody once told me, if you love me, you'll deal with my shit. And that was really an awakening for me, because I used to think the same way, and I used to put people through hell. And I guess you get what you give. But yeah, I realized, I've had a lot of people recently from 2014 onward, whether that be friends or potential partners. Didn't have a boyfriend, but potential, like you expressed interest, he expressed interest. First off, I realized a lot of these people, I didn't meet them at, say, conferences, or lectures on psychology or physics or anything like that. You know what I mean? It was just a person that you met from a friend, or a person you met doing some work. And I realized that it's very hard for an unawakened person to be friends with an awakened person, because there's absolutely nothing to talk about, because I'm usually silent and observing them. And another thing I realized was a lot of these unawakened people, they wanted to get so close to me because of what they could get from me, or because of how I looked, or what I wore, or whatever, or sex, or whatever. And it is so easy to spot truth when you're awakened. You could just see right through a person's actions. And it really turned me off when I realized that if it was a guy, all he wanted was sex. I was immediately turned off. And I was immediately turned off with the fact that he was usually not as bright as me. And it was always boring. So I decided, you know what? Forget that. And when it came to friends and negativity, I realized that they only wanted to get close to me to start fighting with me. So what I would do is just disappear, just like I disappeared from a lot of situations. And it's because you're carrying a certain vibrational energy, and it's really base and it's really low, and I could feel everything. And as an awakened being, you can feel everything, and it's hard. So when I let them in, they'd start fighting, I'd disappear, and they probably thought I was some type of evil, I don't know, BITCH or whatever, because they didn't understand. They didn't get it. But again, if we are masters, if we are the architects, we have to be conscious of who we're letting in, what we are letting into our mind. Media, YouTube videos, books, movies, music. we are supposed to be very aware or super aware of the food that we are consuming to energize our bodies. We should be aware of everything because it's programming our consciousness. And that dictates our life. So I like to be aware, but I don't like to let it consume me. And when people act kind of weird, I start to run away. Like I can't deal with it. And I think that's why I separated from so many people in my family. Because it was so hard to watch them suffer. Once you're truly awakened, all suffering ends. Because you know there's another way. You know? And that's why I like all these conspiracy theories, all this, a lot of bullshit out there, you know, a lot of truth that we need to know, but at the end of the day, it's all an illusion. And I find Earth is kind of like a program or a game to elevate our consciousness, to get to the next level of being. And if we're constantly thinking that we cannot change our lives, my life has changed drastically from 2012. I mean, I have stories for days. I was homeless at one point, living in my car. I was broke with like $10 to my name. I've dealt with so much. And today, nothing could make me unhappy because I have myself and I have my consciousness. And no matter how bad a situation gets, I accept it. That's the key. And I think that's the cheat code to death. And the cheat codes to life is acceptance, tolerance for stupidity, compassion, and understanding that you have control over everything. So dealing with negativity and unnecessary people in your life is quite pointless. And to tell you the truth, I think a lot of people should take some time off of society to find themselves. You know, I looked on YouTube. So much duality, so much anger, and we all have to really love one another because a lot of people are hurting. And they're hurting because they created it. Just like I created it. And once I woke up, all the hurt went away. All the problems went away. Because if we are everything, then we are the problems. And we have to fix that duality within us, that negativity within us. Anyway, reflections. I hope you're having an awesome day.